Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. We're gonna do a fun one and a light one tonight. Not a lot of super mechanical stuff going on, so we're gonna keep it kind of more informative than mechanical. How's that? But I do have a funny one for you guys. We'll start, and gals. We'll start off with this. So for the purple Miata, I ordered a NOCO battery uh, connector. It connects right to the battery, so I don't have to use the pincer clamps. I can just connect right away. And never had a problem before. Amazon's always been 95% pretty good with this. And so yesterday, I get back to the house, I see there's a package from Amazon, and I'm super excited. I'm like, hey, great. It arrived actually a day quicker than what I thought. But unfortunately, there's nothing in here because they never sealed the bag. So even the little strip, because normally they'll peel the adhesive and then stuff it in here and then stuff the product in there. So even the adhesive strip is gone, but it's not sticky. It wasn't folded over or anything. So it showed up empty. Now, what's funny is on Amazon's site, you can return stuff, and they're very good about returning stuff. So they don't have something that says, my package showed up empty. There is no option for that, which is kind of interesting. So this is what I'm going to return to them. Now, I don't know whether the actual part is in a warehouse on the floor somewhere or in the driver's car or where it is, but it did not arrive here. So we're going to do that. They're going to issue me a refund. When they issue me a refund, I will order another one, and we will try that once more. This way, we can just plug the NOCO right into the Miata and keep that battery charged. I'm going to remove the Westlake battery that's in this, which is a fine battery. It works great. There's no problems with it. But I'm going to use that as the spare. And we're going to have the dihydro battery that was in the black car go into the purple car. Excuse me. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm just making sure. New mics always sketch me out. So hang on. Let's do one of these. So I thought that was kind of funny that Amazon shipped something and there's nothing in there. I find that kind of amusing a little bit. Put that in a safe spot. Rockstar is getting harder and harder to find. One of my Dollar Generals, that's my normal supply facility, they don't carry it anymore. And of course, it's the one closest to my house, right? So let's talk about brakes. Let's talk about things that slow you down. You ask, and this sounds so fast and furious, ask anyone in any racing format, anywhere, what they would want better, and every single one of them will tell you better brakes. Doesn't matter if it's drag racing or trophy trucks or Le Mans or IndyCar or whatever it is, MotoGP, they all want better brakes. They want to dive into that corner later, get better braking for longer so that it can last throughout the whole race. They want better brakes. Everyone does. Bonneville, so they can turn the car around quicker and get back to timing. Trophy trucks, they want better brakes. They don't have to use them. Trophy trucks barely use brakes at all. But when they do use them, they want to be able to, they're doing these huge, huge launches and they're doing these big endurance races. So they need quick and powerful, and then they need them to last. So better brakes, every single aspect of motorsports will ask for better brakes. Even the electric guys who are using regenerative braking from the motors, they still want better brakes too. So brakes are a really, really important part of all the stuff we do with the cars, because it's great to have, a gigantic LS with, 2 Hanoi hair dryers and all of that. But if you can't stop your car, it's not that much fun. So By the way, I've told you guys this before. The horsepower wars are over. I don't give a shit what you LS swap anything into. Um, we're all we all lost. Um, the former most powerful vehicle on the planet had over 11 million horsepower, and I don't care what your Coyote does or your Pro Mod does. That's 11 million horsepower. I got to check with Elon's rockets and see what they do. But I think since they're individual, they're a little bit smaller. But yeah, space shuttle main booster over 11 million horsepower. So yeah, nope. I don't care what nitrous kit you're putting on there. Not getting close to that. So got to be able to slow all that shit down. And um, so that's why we go to brakes. And most cars are going to have disc brakes. Those are extremely common. They have been since probably the late 70s. You're looking at four-wheel disc brakes. So you have disc brakes on the front, disc brakes in the rear. I'm trying to not do a dick-ass rotors joke. So on this Miata, on my black Miata, I had, and these are upgrades that you should do whether you're racing or whether you're autocrossing or anything other than going to the grocery store and back. If you're doing anything, any kind of harder driving than going to the hardware store and back, these are upgrades that you should do. And I'll give you my product recommendations. You can seek out your own products, but I'm going to tell you guys the stuff that works for me. And I've tested it, and I've tried to kill it, and I can't. And it's worked really, really well. So first up, and I tell people this with any car they buy, Miata, Viper, doesn't matter. Go get braided lines. Braided brake lines are a huge benefit. So what happens is, see, what happens is rubber lines get hot, and hydraulic fluid likes to expand. It will win over rubber. So what will happen is your rubber line will get larger. And this is obviously dramatic, right? It will get larger, and that way you don't have as much braking force going onto the pads on the caliper. So those lines expand and they get huge. And so if you're in an autocross, by the afternoon session, your brake lines have swollen up and they've gotten really big, not only from the heat of driving, but also from the heat of use. Brake fluid is hygroscopic, so it eats water, and it can also, it gets very hot very quickly. You can get 4, 5, 6, 700, 1200 degrees. It can get over like 2000 degrees in some cars. So that'll make that rubber expand. So what you do, very cheap, very simple, very easy option for 99% of cars. When you get into like a Koenigsegg Jesko, I think it comes with braided lines. I'm pretty sure it does. For 11 million or whatever the hell that thing costs, it better. If it comes with braided lines, I'm sending CVK a message. So get braided lines. These are for the Miata. These are like 125 bucks. These are from Moss Miata. And if you want, I'll put a link in the description. These are, I think with shipping and everything, they were like 135. These are great. You can see the stainless steel braid, and it has a nylon sleeve, just a clear nylon sleeve on the outside. These are not branded. Like some of them you'll see, there's a company called Goodridge that puts a yellow label on there. Not necessary. I just cut that shit off. Until they start paying me to use their product, I cut all that stuff off. This one also comes with the banjo bolts and crush washers and a new distribution block, which is in the rear of the car. So if you have corrosion or anything like that, this is just brass, machined brass. These are well worth it. This is 125 bucks. You can go, for most cars, they're going to be between 125 and 210 for, cars like Corvettes and S2Ks and stuff like that. And what they do is they replace that rubber line from your hard line down to your caliper. So that section right now is rubber because it has to move with the suspension. This braided line also moves with the suspension, stays with the caliper, but it won't expand. It takes a lot for it to expand. These things are good to like 1,000 degrees, or what was it, like 3,000 psi or something. Um, so the ones that I have in the Viper are actually custom made. They're made by a company called Spiegel in Dayton, Ohio, and they were very expensive. They are red. That was one of the custom things I wanted, was I wanted red equals stop. So I got red lines. I also have a launch control in that car. So I did lines for the launch control, from the master cylinder to the launch control to the calipers. So those are custom made. Those were, I don't know, those were probably 300, 350 bucks. And I think, if I remember right, Spiegel, they mostly do motorcycle stuff, but they were in Dayton, and the general manager was really cool and was very cool to do custom length lines with custom fittings. I've anodized red fittings that are really nice, and red banjo bolts. Everything was red. It was great. I think they test them to 21,000 psi. Every single line that leaves their shop, they test. It's not like they pick one and do a random. Every single line they test. And I want to say it's 21,000 psi. You can check with Spiegel on that. But they have tons of different colors, and they have hardware options and all this stuff, but they are more expensive. Something like this, very basic, black, silver, with the machine brass block, which you'll never see because it's kind of way tucked up in there. These guys work great. They work absolutely fantastic. And again, if you're at the track and you're doing a track day, and second to last session of the day, 3 o'clock, your brakes have gotten hot, your brake fluid's gotten hot, your lines are going to expand. And you're going to come into a turn, and you've progressively gotten better throughout the day, and you're going to decide to brake deeper, and your line is going to give up. Your pedal is going to go to the floor, and you're going to get in trouble. So that's when you grab the parking brake, put it neutral, and hopefully save your car. I have seen cars expand out brake lines and straight into the grass, into a culvert, up and over the culvert, and into the grass on the other side. And it was a beautiful Evo 10. And now it's a beer can. The guy had 3 payments left on it. Didn't have braided lines. So super important. If you don't do anything else, if you still use cheapo Valvoline fluid and don't do pads or rotors, get braided lines. It's one of the biggest weak spots in cars, but it's also one of the easiest ones to fix. Next up, let's talk about fluid. So this is another package that arrived, and I got this as a 3-pack because I'm pretty sure I need 3 pints to redo all the fluid in here. So this is a 3-pack of Motul 600, the RBF 600. And this is 500 milliliters, so it's 1.05 pints. This is a pint of brake fluid. I've tried a ton of different stuff. I've tried the Valvoline, I've tried the Castrol SRF. There's a lot of really good stuff out there. I go with this versus the 660. How come you don't use the 660, Kev? 660 does have a higher hot boil, but the 660 has a lower low boil. This is, I don't know. They don't have it on the bottle. But this is, there's specs for all of it. 200 typical wet boiling and dry boiling. Minimum dry boiling is 300 centigrade. Minimum wet boiling is 195 centigrade. This is really kick-ass, super. It covers a ton of braking temperatures and different types of braking that you do. So is that guy on? That guy is on. I'm just checking the other mic. So Castrol SRF is really good. If you want to go hardcore, you can go with Endless is a company. Their brake fluid is amazing, absolutely amazing. It is a Japanese company, and their stuff is fantastic. That's probably the best brake fluid in the world. Again, I hope the Jesco has endless in it. But if you have an average Joe car that's not a $2 million, $11 million car, you can put in really good stuff that'll help you brake like a Jesco. It is not expensive. These three bottles, I think they were $50 for three. And my shop in Ohio, I have a whole rack. I have like a dozen of these. Now it does have an expiration date on it. So once you crack it open, it will absorb moisture and it'll turn dark. So it'll go from this really nice sort of clear caramely color. Trying to describe it without using a urine reference. It's sort of clear, like watered down caramel. It'll get darker and darker, and eventually it'll look like milk chocolate. And then even if it's brand new, you can't use it just because it's absorbed so much water. That water that gets pulled in there pulls in dirt, and that's why it changes color. So when you do get this stuff, and it'll be, I don't really want to crack it right now. There'll be a foil cap on here, so it does save for a while. But once you crack that seal, you want to use it. Definitely want to use it. So get really good fluid. Again, that's not top of the line stuff, but that's also not, the $8 Valvoline. And the $8 Valvoline stuff works great. If you have, a daily driver, you can use that. The Valvoline brake fluid, the 3.4 fluid is really good. For all of my vehicles, the truck, the Altima, the Miatas, the race cars, all of them get the Motul 600. It's a simple brake fluid that has not let me down yet. And I've been doing it for, how long have I been using that stuff? 12, 15 years? It's actually really good brake fluid. So next up, and those are two things you can do when you swap out your braided lines. It's a really good time to add new fluid because you're going to drain all the old fluid out of the car. You're going to put on your braided lines, get them nice and tight, and then you're going to add all of your new fluid and bleed your brakes and everything. So next up, you want to upgrade pads. Pads are a big thing. There's a variety of pads out there. Anything from basic daily driver pads all the way up to full blast race pads. For the Viper, I use Carbotech pads. I use XP20s up front, XP12s in the rear. The race car, the Neon, the SRT4, I have the same thing, XP20s up front, XP12s in the rear. And then on the MR6, we have, God, Brian DePauw is going to kill me for this. It's a new company, and they did really awesome pads for us. I've worn their shirt. G-Lock. Sorry. Yeah. G-Lock does the pads for the MR6. Those have been really good, but those are full blast race pads. I wouldn't use them on the street. The difference is street pads are going to be low dust, low noise, a race pad, but less bite. A race pad is going to be heavy bite, heavy dust, heavy noise until it gets hot, and then it won't make so much noise. They're just going to rip into rotors. So that's the trade-off. You got to find that middle ground. So for the Miata, we're going to be running a company called Dynamic Friction, makes a really good track pad. It's not a full blast race pad, but it's great for track days, autocrosses, that sort of thing, spirited driving. So we're going to be running a Dynamic Friction set on the Miata. And on the truck, I run Bosch heavy duty, like hardcore heavy duty tow truck pads on the truck. So find the pads that match your car and match the type of driving you're going to do. That's the best way to do it. I'm a Carbotech guy. I have been for a long time. I wanted to do Carbotechs on the MR6, but Brian DePauw is like, hey, there's this new company out. Let's check out their pads. He'd been using them on his Miata. I said, yeah, let's give it a shot. So we're going to, keep using the G-Locks. They've been great for us. And I'll use my Carbotech stuff on my other stuff. Next up, and one of the last things is rotors. So the rotors that I run on the Miata, and I pulled these off of the black car, and they're going to go on the purple car. These are, and I don't remember who made these, and I don't remember where I got them from. I think I got them from JC Whitney. This is a rear, and you can tell it's a rear because it's solid and not vented. And these are slotted and drilled. And they're not hardcore drilled or anything like that. And this is just surface corrosion from it sitting. But these are within spec. So if you're going to reuse rotors, make sure you measure. And these are actually a millimeter thicker than spec. So these rotors are actually in really good shape. And we're going to keep using them. So this is a rear, and then I'll show you the front. And normally these are cast iron, and I can't do them in one hand. You can see the front is vented up here. That's to let all the gases and heat and stuff expand out of there as it's going down the road. These are also drilled and slotted. You do not need drilled and slotted on your daily. Drilled and slotted they're more prone to cracking and breaking. You'll hear guys talk about, I'm gonna get a rag and wash my hands. You hear guys talk about warping rotors. I don't think people really understand how insanely difficult it is to warp cast iron. You're not really warping rotors. What you're doing is you're offset wearing pads. So your pads grab onto the rotors like this. And what you're doing is you're wearing, trying to get straight here. You're wearing one side a little bit more than the other, either toe in or toe out. You could also be angling them kind of weird because of how your calipers are set up and how your calipers are functioning. It is so rare. You got to do like hardcore Bosch brake testing at like 300 miles an hour in order to warp a cast iron rotor. Those things are, even the cheapo Chinese ones, it's really hard to warp a rotor. What you're going to do is you're going to kind of malware a rotor. It won't actually be warped. It'll be worn down on one side, and you'll be able to tell that from the brake pad. The brake pad will tell you which side is worn down and where it's worn down. So that's kind of warping rotors is not really a thing. It would be incredibly difficult to do. More than likely, you have a pad issue and a caliper or a caliper issue. So it's not really a warped rotor. It's a misworn rotor or malworn. I don't know what you want to call it. The rotor is worn down unevenly. It's not warped. It's not like that. The brake pad has machined it off so that if you set it on a flat plate, it'll wobble, but it's not because the rotor's warped. It's because it got worn down. So there's a little brake thing for you. If you want to know more about brakes, and way more than I know, which is probably a lot, there's a guy out there named David Zeckhausen. I'm not sure if he's still doing brake stuff, but Dave Zeckhausen has tons of info on brakes, rotors, pads, fluid, lines, master cylinders, bedding brakes, all the procedures and everything. He's a super, super smart brake guy. And he's been doing it a very, very, very long time. I'm not sure if he's still out there, but I gained a ton of knowledge going through his website, going through his blog, reading all of his info. And that was even, before I got into racing. So Dave Zeckhausen is a great reference. Also, the folks at Carbotech, they are super, super nice and are absolutely willing to discuss any kind of brake compound issue. They do have some kind of street pads. Most of their stuff is race stuff, but they do have some street pad compounds that could work, and they're kind of low dust. So if you have some, if you're like, hey, I really want to run Carbotech, definitely shoot them an email. And super nice folks over there. The owner of the company is super cool and a hardcore race guy. He's not just a beam counter. He's actually, I've met him at the track. Really cool guy, hardcore car guy. So definitely check out Carbotech. Dynamic Friction is new on the scene, but they're making a really great name for themselves. I've talked to a bunch of Lemons racing guys who've used them on their Lemons cars, and they're super happy with them. And those are endurance races. Those are 12-hour, 10-hour races, and those guys are loving those dynamic friction pads because they're not very expensive yet. So these guys can put on fresh pads in the morning and not worry about it for the rest of the day. And it's not $600 for a set of pads. It's $30 for a set of pads. So when you're doing all this stuff, definitely look for packages. If you can find a rotor and pad package, you'll definitely save probably 15-20%, especially if it's a combination you're looking for. If you're looking for slotted, if you're a daily driver, just get a slotted rotor. You don't need drilled and slotted. Just get slotted. It cleans the pad and lets the gases come off the pad real easy. Just go slotted if it's a daily. And then if you are doing hardcore track stuff, you can do slotted, and you can also do double slotted, or you can do slotted and drilled. But just get slotted. Don't worry about drilled and slotted if you're just going to Kroger and back, or I don't know, grocery store and back. That's about it for brake stuff. So hopefully, those are super basics. There's a lot of other aspects that you can dial in. You can get into brake bias. You can get into running different compounds front and rear. You can get into a whole bunch of stuff beyond this. But these are the basics. The really kick-ass braided lines, the really kick-ass brake fluid, and the basic rotors and pads. You do that setup, you're going to have a really nice time stopping your car. You're going to be far more confident to go past that next marker and get deeper into that turn. You're going to be more confident to stay on the gas through the timing light because you have kick-ass brakes and you won't have to go into the sand trap. On the motorcycle, you're going to lean in harder because you can get on that brake later and you can dive into the turns. So it's one of those things, no matter what you're racing, if you have better brakes, you're going to have quicker times and you're going to have more fun. You're also going to have way more confidence in your car. Way more confidence. Also, as a bonus, just a minor safety thing, ABS and braided lines are best friends. ABS and rubber lines, not really. They'll eat at the same lunch table, but when you have braided lines and an ABS system, they like each other so much because that pulsing is not absorbed by the rubber. None of the pulsing is. It goes straight through. So you get better ABS mechanics with braided lines versus rubber. Rubber will absorb some of that and your ABS won't be as good. It'll still work, but with braided lines, it works so much better, so much longer. So there's a little added bonus of, if your car has that, if you have ABS on there, it'll definitely prefer the braided lines. So there are advantages to all this stuff. I'll put a link in the description to the Motul and to the braided lines from Moss. I'll go dig those up and put them in the description when we're done here. If I knew where I got the rotors from, I'd put them in there. But also, depending on your vehicle, you're going to get different rotors. You're going to get different braided brake lines. But at least you'll have, if you're in the Miata world, you'll have braided brake lines where you can score it. And they're for NA Miatas. For fluid, that goes for any vehicle. Corvette, S2K, trucks, motorcycles actually prefer mineral oil. That's a weird thing with them, but you can do it on some motorcycles. The limo has Motul 600 in it. I use it in everything that needs brakes. The Altima race car, that's got Motul 600 in it. It's one of those things. It's the standard. It's not super expensive. It's not super cheap. But I know that it's going to be there when I jam on those brakes. I expect it to, do what I'm asking it to do and not, boil over or fail. So Really good stuff. So I'll put links to that, to the brake fluid, and for the Miata folks, for the lines for the Merlot Miata. For your vehicle, you can go look it up. You can just type in year, make, and model and stainless steel braided lines, and just put that into Google. It'll pop up a bunch of options. You know, I don't know. There's a bunch of sites, Rock Auto, Amazon, all that stuff. They'll probably have it for your car. If you need custom lines, let me know. I'll get you in touch with Spiegler, and maybe they can do some custom lines for you. That'd be cool. They're really nice lines. I'm very happy with what they got. So that's it. I appreciate you guys hanging out tonight. Oh, alarm's going off. And if you guys have any questions, comments, whatever, definitely put them down there. I would love to hear them, and I love hearing from you guys. Thanks to all the new subscribers. I'm glad you guys are liking what I'm doing here. I'm gonna keep doing it. And a little bit of good news: parts are on the way. I heard from the powder coater today. The roll bar and backing plates for the roll bar are done. The calipers are getting done in the next 48 hours. So we're going to have a ton of parts coming on here. Also, the new coilover has been ordered. It should be here. So we'll be able to do all the suspension stuff, the sway bars, the coilovers, the brake calipers, the braided lines, and the roll bar. We're going to knock out a whole bunch of stuff and just do night after night, just hammering parts into this thing to get it back to where this was. So getting a lot closer, and I'm glad you guys are along for the ride. It sucks waiting on parts. It sucks waiting on powder coat and paint and stuff like that, but it's going to be worth it in the end. And I'm super excited. This is a brand new powder coater I'm working with here in Florida. So I'm pretty excited to see what he comes up with and how well it turns out. I'm sure it's going to be great, but I'm super jazzed. He was really happy with the roll bar so far. So thanks you guys for hanging out, and thanks for subscribing, all of that. Like I said, I don't get paid anything to do this. So if you're enjoying it, that's my payback. And I think that's about it for tonight. We'll do a ton more stuff later on this week. We're going to probably bring the limo in tomorrow and start the sniper system, put the sniper system back on that. So we'll move the Miata outside and put the limo in here and get that back to being fuel injected so it can be a little bit more fuel efficient. And I think that's about it. So yeah, hang tight. We got Miata stuff. We got limo stuff. What else do we have? We're going to do end links on the Viper. So we'll do some suspension stuff on the Viper. And I think that's about it. So thanks everyone for hanging out tonight. I really appreciate it. And don't forget to show someone that you love them today. Give them a kiss on the cheek. Give them a kiss on the tip of their nose. Hold their hand. Give them a squeeze. It's really important for them. But just like braided lines, it's far more important for you. All right. Thanks, everyone. We will catch you, if not tomorrow night, then Thursday night. All right. Thanks, everyone. Rolly stool. Where'd it go? We like the rolly stool.